Strike a hash.
Thanks for listening and watching. We are on Facebook and LinkedIn as we speak. My name is Gary Rossignol. I am a certified residential specialist, better known as Cincinnati's Rock and Roll Realtor. And the show today is being sponsored by RE/MAX Preferred Group. Call Chris Beresford at 513-265-8691. I'm here in the studio is the Voice of Appraisal.
Voice of Appraisal. And you know what? We've been doing Voice of Appraisal podcast for now 9 years.
9 years.
9 years. We were the very first appraisal podcast out there. And everybody told me, it's like, what are you going to talk about when it comes to appraisal on a podcast? How can you do that? I'm like, what isn't there to talk about?
What can't you talk about for an hour or two?
Yeah, exactly. No, so let me ask you a question, Gary. You were just recently on a podcast yourself with Leah Brown.
Yeah.
From South Carolina?
South Carolina, yeah.
Now, she is, what is she? She's the president of the South Carolina National Association. She was.
Yeah.
I would love to see her be the president of the National Association.
Yeah.
But she's been on this tear about these bifurcated and desktop appraisals.
Yeah.
When it comes to,
We talked about that yesterday on my podcast.
Did she?
Yeah.
Did you mention me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
She said hi.
She said hi.
You.
Okay, that's
right.
I love Leah. She does a great job. We can't say the name of her podcast right now because we're on live radio.
Well, crazy stuff in real estate.
Crazy stuff in real estate. That's what it is, right? But no, she's been on a tear. She's been upset about this new bifurcated products that the GSEs are out there. So can I explain it really quick?
Yeah,
Just
please,
break it down.
Please.
So, and the American consumers need to know this, and all of the sales agents, especially those that list property, need to really understand this. So what happened was a couple of years ago, I'd say about 10 years ago, the banks decided that they were going to do what was called a desktop appraisal. It's very simple. The appraiser never left their desk, and someone would go out to the property and take a picture of the house and just to verify it's still standing. Just make sure you got sticks and bricks and dirt, right? And these were done for like a low LTV, right? So let's say, for instance, you got a $500,000 house in Mason and you want to take out a $100,000 equity line. You don't owe anything on it. Do you really need to have this massive full appraisal done? It's in a subdivision. No. You just do like a little bifurcated desktop. That was fine. That was all right. And also in the banking industry, there's a lot of files that need to be quote unquote touched for compliance. So again, if you had to have an updated value, you just did a desktop, send somebody out, take a picture, you're okay.
We used to call those drive-by appraisals.
Drive-by. It was a drive-by, but they bifurcated the system so someone would go out and snap the shot. Okay, fine. Okay. Then in 2018, something happened. And I started warning about this on my podcast.
Yep.
2018, they decided to take the person that's going out to the house and just driving by and taking a shot, they decided to introduce that person inside the home. Now, this person that goes inside the home most likely is not connected to any realtor or any real estate appraiser's office.
And they're not licensed?
They're not licensed. They're not certified.
Insured?
The background check that they do on them, we've already had several people in the past, say, 12 months that worked for these big companies, came back with negative background checks, but they were already allowed. Like one guy was a convicted felon.
They won't go in my listings not without a licensed realtor with them.
Bingo. But see, that's the whole thing about it. Why are we allowing this new group of people to go inside of these properties?
And realtors have to stand up and say, no, you're not going in.
You're not. And that's what Lee is so upset about, too, right?
Yeah.
Because you guys have got a responsibility to your seller to know who's walking in that house, to secure the home.
Yep.
But not only secure the home, but secure the people inside the home, secure the sellers. And how many times have you ever dealt with a seller that's got children, that has children, small kids, teenagers and things like that.
Dogs, cats.
Look, if I'm walking in this is Cincinnati. This is the biggest small town in America. Everybody knows everybody. You ask where you went to high school. You don't ask where you went to college. I know who you are. Everybody knows me, and you know where to find me, okay? Right up there next to Kings Island. Everybody knows where I'm at.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. When you're dealing with a situation with this bifurcation, no one knows who these people are. No one knows who these people are that are walking inside the house. They could have bad backgrounds. They could have been flipping hamburgers last week if they even wanted to show up for work.
No,
that's the issue.
What is the bottom line? Why are they doing the bifurcated?
Money.
Save money.
Money. They want to save the additional, $100, $200. For some reason, this. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit. For some reason, the banking industry has blamed the appraisers for two things. Number one, biased in the last, say, two or three years, and number two, we're too expensive. were too expensive. The average cost of an appraisal anywhere between $350 and $550, depending on where you're at, right? That's not expensive compared to all the other fees that are associated with selling a piece of property.
But what you get for your money is ridiculous. It's like for sale by owners.
Right.
I've got a for sale by owner appointment this afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The only reason she's trying to sell her house her own is to save the commission.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's not going to. It's a known fact, and data does indicate that if you list with an agent, you get a higher price.
Yep.
It's as simple and easy, and you don't have all the legal issues that may come down the pike after the closing. Mm-hmm. Same thing with this situation. There's a new movie that just came out. It's breaking records. It's going hot throughout the entire country. It's called Sound of Freedom, and it's about all the nasty, nasty people that's in the human trafficking world. Okay. And the last thing that you need to have is to produce and to introduce any additional risk on people for people walking inside of the homes. This is nothing more than a data grab. That's all it is. Remember, data is everything these days. These people are going to be walking inside your house. They're going to be filling out paperwork. That paperwork is going to find out how old your furnace is. Is that furnace going to be replaced in 2 or 3 years? Do you have an electric stove or do you have a gas range? Because under the Biden administration, gas stoves and gas ranges could cause global warming, right? So, you may have to have that replaced in a couple of years. Things like that.
I didn't vote for him.
Things like, let's not get into that, Gary. Totally different show, Gary. Totally different show. But things like that. That data is going to be collected on that house, and that's going to be sold off. So a lot of these quote unquote appraisal management companies, Leah talks a lot about them. They came into existence after the great financial crisis, and they were there to make sure that we weren't, instructed by you to tell what the value is. They've now become these quote-unquote technology companies, and they're out there collecting your data, selling it off to other entities, and that are going to use it. And
the
that's
double-edged
the bad
sword
part.
is if the seller has surveillance on the property, they need to disclose that.
Oh, yeah, they do. And the sellers, I actually really feel sorry for the sellers because when you sell a house, there's a lot of people walking inside of it. There's the home inspector. There's the
if you're doing it right.
If you're doing it right, there's the realtors. There's the radon specialists. All of these people, and you have all of this series of, and especially like the relocation people. They have everybody. If you're getting relocated, you're talking about 6 or 7 different entities walking in your house. Everybody needs to know who everybody is. Everybody needs to establish who everybody is and understand what their role is.
And the listing broker, the listing agent needs to stay in touch and needs to be in control.
You're ultimately in control. It's ultimately your responsibility at that time.
That's why I use the Sentry Lock electronic lockbox system, because anybody that accesses my listings, they have to be registered.
Okay.
They have to schedule the appointment.
Okay, it's a great point. Gary. You're talking about the Sentry Lock system that Cincinnati has right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, there has now been stories that these data collectors are getting one-day codes to the Sentry Locks. They're sending out the data collector under the Sentry Lock.
How are they getting the one-day codes? They're calling the listing agent and getting the one-day code.
Getting the one-day code.
Listing agents, listen up.
Yes.
You've got to make sure you know who's going in, and if they're not licensed, if they're just one of these data collectors, you and the seller together can decide, no, I want to have a licensed agent go in with them.
When you make that, when you get that request, or someone calls you up and says, "Give me that one-day code," the number who are you, and what is your agent ID number? Now, I'm not an agent. I'm a real estate appraiser. I'm not an agent, but I still, under the MLS system, have an agent ID number. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I give it, boom, all my data and information comes up.
You're an affiliate member.
I'm an affiliate member, exactly. Yeah. And everything comes up, and that's who I am, and people know who I am, and that's how it works. Mm-hmm. This situation now where and I warned Fannie, and I warned Freddie back in 2018, and I warned the National Association of Realtors Appraiser Committee, who's not really doing anything at all. I'm sorry, they're not stepping up where they need to step up. I warned them all. As soon as you start taking in Uber drivers and you send them into someone else's world, and they're not trained correctly, and we don't know who they are, bad things are going to happen. And that's what's going to be the case.
Yeah, but Phil, my house is vacant. We moved out a month ago.
So who's to say someone's not scoping it out? Who's to say?
Matter, right?
Exactly. So it is something that they're trying. They think it's going to save time and money. There's a recently an appraisal company down in, I won't mention the name because I'll get in trouble if I mention the name. Yeah. but they keep bragging on LinkedIn that they just did a 48-hour appraisal for a purchase. A 48-hour appraisal. First of all, I can give you a 4.6-hour appraisal right now, doing it the old-fashioned way. Mm-hmm. Okay, number one. Number two, why the big rush? give us the extra day to do the proper analysis, and everything's going to be fine, right? I mean, I don't understand it, Gary. It's just a matter of money. They want to save money. They think they're saving time. At the end of the day, the consumer is in the crosshairs. The consumer is being damaged, and ultimately, the risk assessment on the property and the loan is not accurate either. So it's bad. That's what's going on.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah. So as agents, make sure you know who's going in your house. And if you are listing with an agent and you're the homeowner, you need to tell your agent, look, I want to know absolutely who's coming in the house. I want to know what their name, everybody. I want to know exactly who it is because I don't want to put my family at risk.
And listing agents, you have to pay attention. You have to talk with your broker.
Yes.
It's your responsibility to know who's coming into your listing.
At all times.
All times.
No matter who it is.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So, yep.
And another thing, I have buyers who one spouse can't come to the showing, so they want to FaceTime through the house. Well, as a buyer's agent, it's my obligation to call the listing agent and get written permission to take photos and videos.
Yeah, because there's personal photos and videos throughout the home. And it's very important because, a Zoom call can be recorded and shared.
And
exactly right.
Internet.
It's all privacy. It's all privacy.
Right.
And Fannie and Freddie don't care. The GSEs don't care because they're embracing value acceptance. Have fun with that.